Hi my friends! Welcome to the channel English Professionally, and this video course is very special, so it's how to speak English like a native speaker. So I really hope you like the idea of this video course. Okay, thanks a lot for your support, for your likes, shares here on YouTube and on Facebook too. Okay, are you ready to start? I hope so. I have been learning English for years. Yeah, I have been learning English. Yeah, we use this structure with for. I have been learning English for years. It means for a very long time, so for many years. And I think my English isn't perfect, so isn't so good. Although it means but, I can express my ideas quite clearly. So I can express my ideas. It means that I can say what I want to say quite clearly, so very clearly. Yeah, so and without mistakes. Okay, so I don't make mistakes. I speak English correctly, yeah, so I can express my ideas, yeah, quite clearly and without mistakes, but I feel that my English isn't perfect anyway. Yeah, and I have a question. How can I speak English like a native speaker? I mean, like people who were born and live in England or America, for example. What can you recommend? What can you recommend? So what's your advice? Okay, I got your point. Sorry, what? Yeah, so you see, I got your point. And sorry, what? I mean, I want to tell you that I understood your idea. So in fact, I got your point means I understood your idea. So I understand you. It's the first problem. So people mostly tend to use, or people mostly use, so have this tendency. Okay, so people mostly tend to use a very limited range of vocabulary. So a very limited range of vocabulary means that, so in fact they use only popular words, so not very difficult words, not very difficult phrases, in contrast to native speakers. But native speakers, actually they do the opposite thing, so they use more difficult words and more advanced words and vocabulary. Okay, and I don't know why, but English grammar is taught a lot. It's taught a lot. So at school or at university. So really, teachers, yeah, give us, lots of information on grammar, but I believe, or I tend to think, there isn't enough focus on vocabulary. So there isn't enough focus on vocabulary. So I think that we are mostly taught grammar rather than vocabulary, but not vocabulary, but we really need vocabulary to sound like a native speaker. So is it really so? We learn lots of English words. Okay, I see. The problem is that, yeah, a nice phrase. The problem is that you mostly learn, or you mainly learn unnatural phrases. So unnatural phrases or expressions, unnatural expressions, so phrases which don't sound natural. Okay, maybe they are okay for you, but they aren't okay for a native speaker, so it doesn't sound natural. Okay, and you focus too much on English words rather than phrases. So you focus too much, or you concentrate too much on English phrases. So maybe you try to remember only English words, but if you look at the English language, it isn't about English words. it's about English phrases, and you need to focus on them first of all, okay? And I can tell you this thing. So I have been teaching English for almost 20 years. Yeah, I've been teaching English for almost 20 years, very long time. And I've come to the following conclusion. A nice phrase, it means that I have this idea as a result. So I can make this conclusion, and really we have it. I've come to the following conclusion, to this conclusion, okay? So what's the problem? Really good question. What's the problem? The problem is that, yeah, nice phrase. The problem is that students mostly study books written by non-native speakers of English. So you know this, yeah, word, a native speaker. So a non-native speaker, it's quite the opposite thing. So people who weren't born in England or America, yeah, so they have a different mother tongue, okay? So written by non-native speakers of English, yeah. I think that you know this thing, as they are more clear for them, yeah. So when they actually have a translation, yeah, from their language into English and the opposite, and these things are easier for students, so they are very popular. Yeah, and I won't deny, it means that I won't say no, yeah. They can have a good structure. They can have a good structure and lots of grammar, so they are usually full of grammar, different exercises. But as I see, or as I notice, as I understand, they lack common English phrases. Lack, yeah, it means they don't have enough. They lack common English phrases, yeah, but not only common English phrases. I mean English phrases which are really so widespread, which are really so common, or which are really so popular among native speakers. It's the problem. So we have these books, these materials, but I mean the phrases, and so the English phrases, sentences which are used here aren't so natural. So it's a problem. So I often actually meet this thing, okay? And so what's the way out of this situation? So what can we do? So should I study English books written only by native speakers? Well, I have to say the following. So have to, it means must. So I have to say the following. I have to say this thing. I have nothing against books written by non-native speakers. So I have nothing against, so don't think that I'm against, yeah, books written by non-native speakers, that I only support native speakers. No, actually it isn't so, yeah, and I just want to be sincere, I want to be open, and I want to tell you this one more time. I have nothing against books written by non-native speakers. It's okay, but, yeah, or anyway, they should have international qualifications. So it's a problem, and most people don't realize it. So non-native speakers who write English books or books on learning English should have international qualifications, okay? So what kind of qualifications? So what are these qualifications? So teaching qualifications, it's an important thing, so they know, modern and effective methods of learning English, of learning and teaching English, and most importantly, the most important thing, some qualifications confirming that they have a strong advanced level in English, yeah? Confirming, it means some qualifications showing or which say that they really have a strong advanced level in English. So I believe it should be a common practice, so it should be everywhere. So really it's a problem, so, and I will tell you why, so quite soon. Yeah, so really? Yes, that's it. So yes, that's it, yes, that's true. So getting an education in teaching, it means that, so if someone got an education in teaching, someone is an English teacher, it doesn't guarantee, so it isn't always so that this person will know English perfectly, yeah? And I want to tell you something from my experience. So really, from my experience, I can tell you really that most students, yeah, if you look at my experience, maybe it's an exception, but that's true. So I can tell that most students, yeah, I mean in my group, yeah, or around me, weren't serious about learning. So they didn't want, to study. They just wanted to get these qualifications, yeah, to find a good job, and but they got. But what happened in reality, or what happened in the end? So anyway, they got the same qualifications, yeah, the same qualifications as me, although, but their knowledge was really weak, yeah, the knowledge was really weak, so they weren't top students, they weren't A students, yeah, their actual marks or their grades were below average. The knowledge was really weak, and it's a sad fact, really. It's a very disappointing fact that it often happens. So, yeah, the thing is that people often, enter a certain university just to get some qualifications, but they don't care about real knowledge. It's a real pity, okay? So what do you want to say? I want to say there should be special requirements, or there should be special rules or criteria for people who write books on learning English, related to international standards and qualifications. Yeah, and in fact, we can't study English books full of grammar and unnatural phrases. So I think it's the main point, okay? So it's important to look at the writers of these materials and to look at their qualifications. So I believe that a really professional teacher, English teacher, should have or must have international qualifications, yeah, just as I said, confirming that they have a strong advanced level in English, and secondly, some teaching qualifications. Otherwise, it means if it doesn't happen, I think that we need to think more, yeah, before choosing this book as the main one, okay? So it means related to international or standards, or connected with international standards and qualifications. And I know that it's a problem. It's a problem for many countries. And so it's my just point of view, okay? So you might disagree, but I just decided, to tell you what I think, okay? Next. So what is next? However, there are good books too. Yeah, there are good books too, yeah. But the problem is that students mostly judge a book by its cover. Yeah, a nice phrase. So what does it mean? The students mostly judge a book by its cover. It means that there are so many colorful, bright books, or books with very good, colorful illustrations, and students choose them first of all. And only later they realize maybe that this book isn't so effective, and they often use ineffective material. So it's very difficult, to choose the right book or the best book for them. It's a very difficult thing, so really, because they see maybe just pictures, illustrations, and it misleads them. Okay, I will write down this word for you if you don't mind. It misleads them. So mis means wrongly. So it actually, in fact, it's different. So it's wrong. It misleads them. It's like misunderstand. It's misunderstand, mislead. Okay, so it's wrong. So it misleads them. So they choose, but not the best way. Okay. What about materials written by native speakers? Okay, it's also a good question. Okay, so they're usually quite good. Yeah, they're usually quite good. They may lack good grammar, yeah, so that's it. So as I see, so they lack good grammar, they don't have enough explanations of grammar or examples, yeah, sometimes, maybe, but they can really help you with fluency. I mean, so these phrases are very natural, so these phrases aren't unnatural, they're very natural, so it's an advantage. And where can I find these materials, and what books should I read? Well, I believe it isn't about books, and it isn't only about reading, okay? Really, you asked me about materials, where I can find these materials, about reading, but I suppose you need to focus on other things. So it can be different materials, not only books, yeah? So I know that students often ask, okay, what books should I read? So there are two things in their mind. So the first thing is books, and the second thing is reading, so this idea of reading. So I believe that it can be different materials, not only books, yeah? So what can it be? For example, videos, yeah, a good idea, podcasts, conversations, so audio or video format. But for more efficiency, yeah, for more efficiency, it means that if you really want to learn English very effectively, you need to listen to them. You need to listen to them, not only reading, and see the subtitles at the same, at the same time. It's a very important thing, yeah? Really, you need to listen. If you only read, it isn't effective, my dear friends. It isn't effective. Really? Yeah, a good question. Right. And you need it to do it to make sure, or to be sure that you understand everything. You have to understand everything, to be able to understand everything. Yeah. When your level becomes advanced, or when your level gets advanced, you'll be able to understand everything and without subtitles, yeah? It will be okay, but first, so if you understand 50% or 70%, it isn't enough. So you need to understand 95%, 90%, and only after that it will be comfortable for you, yeah, to watch or to listen to it without subtitles. But first you need to see the text, okay? So what else can you add? You also need to focus on pronunciation. It's a very important thing. So reading something in English, so won't improve your pronunciation, yeah, but when you speak, your pronunciation is very important. So you need to listen more, I mean, to English speech and repeat. So listen and repeat. So if you can't repeat, or if you don't have time, or if you are tired of repeating, just listen more and more. It's a very important thing, okay? Well, what for? So not only to train the pronunciation of certain words, yeah, I mean, sometimes students think that we need just to know the pronunciation of this or that word, and it's enough, but in fact it isn't. Yeah, but intonation as well. So you need to focus on intonation. So if you don't focus on intonation, so you speak very monotonously and unnaturally. For example, you can read it, okay? The thing is, there is a special rhythm in English, but not. So the thing is, there is a special rhythm in English. So you need to focus on intonation. Okay, so how can you improve it? Just by listening. So listen more and more. And so this understanding, so this right way of pronouncing English words, phrases, and sentences will come. It's just a matter of practice, okay? So the thing is, there is a special rhythm in English, and you need to get used to this rhythm, or you need to get accustomed to it. Anything else? Anything else? So a good question. Okay, so to sound more like a native speaker, you need to use more phrasal verbs, yeah? It's a special area, a special zone in English, in the English language, okay? To use more phrasal verbs, please focus on it. So there are common phrasal verbs, idioms, and linking words, yeah? And linking words. Okay, so what is an idiom? For example, I'm going to give you a couple of examples, okay? For example, it's a piece of cake, or the exam was a piece of cake. How will it translate it? The exam was a piece of cake. So what does it mean? So a piece of cake, actually, it's an idiom, but it has another meaning. So a piece of cake means very easy. So the exam was very easy, or maybe your English level is strong advanced and you think, oh, this lesson is so easy. You can say, oh, this lesson is a piece of cake for me. This lesson is a piece of cake for me. And it's an idiom, yeah? And you need to know lots of idioms. You need to know lots of phrasal verbs, okay? You need to know lots of phrasal verbs. And linking words, it's an important thing. Yeah, okay, maybe you knew this, yeah, idiom, piece of cake. I'll give you one more. For example, I can say that my grandmother has green fingers. Okay, so my grandmother, or she has green fingers. Yeah, and if you hear this phrase, yeah, you immediately start thinking, okay, so something is wrong with her fingers, but in fact it isn't. So it's a special phrase, it's a special expression in English, and it means that she is very good at gardening, yeah? So she grows fruit and vegetables, and she does it really well. She is very professional. She's very professional, so it means so, yeah? And so we have the same situation with phrasal verbs, with idioms. So to understand them, you need to know what it means, as it's very difficult to guess it in the context. And linking words, it's about some special phrases which we use to link our speech and to make sound more natural. It's like, actually this lesson is full of these linking words, yeah, like nevertheless, anyway, and so on, yeah, and not only, and so on. It's full of these words. So, and sometimes students use only just simple tenses, simple structures, and they forget about linking words. Please don't forget about it. So if you need to know more linking words, and if you support this idea, we can make a special list on most common English words with examples, yeah, 50 maybe linking words or so, but it's very important, yeah, to use them. Please don't ignore this very important thing. Okay, good. And I think I can only speak English like a native speaker if I talk to them, if I talk to native speakers. Am I not mistaken? It means that, am I right or not? So, am I not mistaken? Am I not mistaken? So, am I right? So, if you can do it, I mean, if you can talk to native speakers, you can speak English to them, it's great. No doubt. It means, of course, it will be an advantage, or it will be very good, it will be a plus, and it can help you improve your skills greatly. Nevertheless, or anyway, but nevertheless, look at this thing from another side. Yeah? Shows there is one more side, yeah? So if you take English lessons, the amount of speech you hear, so you hear some speech, but it isn't a lot, yeah, it's very limited. And you need to listen more to native speech, yeah, just turn on the radio, or yeah, you can listen, I mean, to some interesting programs or podcasts, or you can watch some movies, programs, and so on. So listen a lot, and you don't need to pay for it. You don't need to pay for it, yeah, to train your listening skills. So, and you will hear lots of interesting and natural phrases. So you don't need to pay. Okay, I perfectly understand it. Okay, just imagine it. If you listen to English all day, or for a very long time, how many useful expressions you can hear, or if it's a question, can you hear, yeah, can you hear if it's a question? Just imagine it. So if your lesson is 1 hour, so it isn't enough, and if you take these lessons twice a week, it isn't enough. So to speak English like a native speaker, you need to listen to this natural English speech much more than just 2 hours or 3 hours a day, much more. So listen to this English speech a lot. And if you have an opportunity, if you have this chance or possibility, try to have more speaking practice. Yeah, it's good to speak, but the problem is that maybe, or if there are no native speakers around you, no problem, sometimes people are worried, oh, there are no native speakers around me, just I can only speak English with non-native speakers. It's okay, don't worry. So what can you do? You can use these natural expressions or phrases which in your speech which you have heard. Okay, so it's okay, you just need to listen more and just catch these English phrases and expressions and use it in your speech, and you'll speak like a native speaker. And I really hope that you'll follow all these useful tips. Thanks a lot, my friends.